Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I wanted to talk about some excellent VR news from Valve's talk at GDC this year. And that's because they have shared some information regarding the Steam Frame verification process that I believe is a really big deal for us as VR gamers. I also want to expand on this because there is some updates regarding Proton, and I think some people don't really know what that is, because in my last video talking about when I used Steam Frame and going hands-on with it, that I played Half-Life Alyx on the Steam Frame, people still didn't really understand how that happened. So hopefully in this video we can go through everything about the verification process, about ARM chips, and about Proton. And if you enjoy this video, please leave a like and get subscribed for more VR content. Now, the most important part of this video is that for a standalone VR game to get the Steam Frame verified badge, that game has to run at 90 FPS, making 90 FPS the new official standard on Steam Frame for standalone VR games. This is massively good news for us as the end users, because this represents Valve adding its own Nintendo style seal of approval or quality, much like the Steam Deck, ensuring if you buy a standalone VR game or even a port of an existing standalone game on Steam Frame, 90Hz or 90 FPS will be the benchmark developers will have to hit to ensure they get that verification badge. And this will let you know, at least in terms of performance, it's going to be a smooth frame rate when you play it on Steam Frame. And for me, I'm personally really happy about this announcement. At this point in time, nearly all standalone games are made for MetaQuest and most perform pretty well, but I would argue 72Hz is the baseline, and as we all know, some games frame rates dip and drop all over the place. But with Steam Frame having the more powerful Snapdragon chip and 16GB of RAM versus Quest's 8GB of RAM, plus we have to keep in mind the resolution difference between Quest 3 and Steam Frame is only a minor improvement, developers shouldn't really have a problem getting their games to run at 90 FPS. And I actually expect some developers might even go above this, since the headset is capable of 120Hz and even has a 144Hz experimental mode. And this is also great news for anyone with an existing Steam library of games or PCVR games. So let's break it down exactly what was spoken about at GDC, plus if you follow any tech channels on social media, I would expect there's going to be an influx of hands-on impressions about Steam Frame, because it is there at GDC for people to go hands-on with. Valve firstly spoke about the new rule for VR titles, that a native 90Hz refresh rate is the new minimum to get the verified checkmark on standalone VR games. Now when it comes to non-VR games or 2D games, they only need to hit 30 FPS at 720p. And I've already seen some negativity about this particular bit of information, but this is very much in line with Steam Deck verified games. And many games actually hit 60 FPS on a flat screen anyway. Some games are simply not designed to need a high refresh rate. For example, I love a card game called Ballatro on Steam Deck. Does it need to be more than 30 FPS though? No, of course it doesn't, because frame rate is just not important for this game. Plus you can throw all sorts of Steam games at Steam Deck without a verification badge, and then you just have to mess around with settings and just hope that the game will run pretty well. And this will also be true for the Steam Frame. Not every game will have the verification badge, but if it does, you at least know what it means. It means the game has been quality checked to hit 90 FPS minimum. So now I'm sure most of you know you can play any Steam game directly on Steam Frame. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. And without the verification badge, you can't be sure if it will indeed be a good experience. As I said in my previous hands-on video, I played a non-Steam Frame verified version of Half-Life Alyx on Steam Frame. And because some people got confused about this, I basically played a PCVR game on a standalone device without a PC. And clearly Half-Life Alyx was never designed to be running on a standalone device, and it obviously didn't run great. But while saying that, it did actually run after taking some time to load the Vulkan shaders, and that's the exciting part. In our most recent episode of the Gamertag and Bradley podcast, Brad said it would be a huge missed opportunity if Valve don't launch Steam Frame with a verified version of Half-Life Alyx. Now this doesn't mean that Valve are going to make a standalone version of Half-Life Alyx, it just simply means the game has been optimized and tested to run on Steam Frame at 90 FPS. Now with that all being said, one of the best things about Steam Frame is playing PCVR games wirelessly with high fidelity, thanks to the dynamic foveated streaming with Steam Frame's eye tracking. But potentially PC developers could make their existing PCVR games run on Steam Frame and then get the verification badge without ever porting the game to a standalone version. You might simply go through your PCVR games that you already own and then suddenly see a Steam Frame verification checkmark, which means you can then download it onto the Steam Frame and then play it wirelessly with no PC directly on Steam Frame. And that leads us nicely onto ARM chips, which are the brains of mobile devices. x86 chips, Intel AMD in your gaming PC, are big and power hungry, as ARM chips are more of an efficient version, so you can run it on a battery. They run a lot cooler, which means they can be on our face, and they are lightweight. The exact chip inside the Steam frame is the Qualcomm Snapdragon Gen 3. Because it's an ARM chip, normally your Steam library wouldn't be able to run on Steam frame, but Valve have fixed that by using Proton. This allows x86 games, your PC games, to run on Steam Frame's ARM chip, which is how I played Half-Life Alyx, and that Steam games run on Steam Deck thanks to Proton. Valve are also updating Proton all the time. That means your entire Steam library will automatically run on Steam Frame standalone. But that doesn't mean a good experience, hence the need for a verification badge. As Proton improves, more PCVR games will most likely get this badge, which is great for everyone across the board. PCVR developers can reach a new audience who don't own a PC but want their game to be on Steam Frame. Will it be a graphically lesser experience? The honest answer is most likely yes. The game will not look the same as it does on PCVR, but we've already seen developers make some stunning standalone VR titles, and with 90Hz being the standard, in my mind, all of this is only good news for everyone. So there it is. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you to everyone who likes and subscribes, and I look forward to seeing your comments down in the comments section.